Oh, I'm alive. Oh boy. Hello, everybody. I'm alive. I'm alive. I can't believe it. Hmm. Hmm. Oh, dear God. Hello, everybody. How are you? Hi, everybody. Well, today I have many things. I have. Hmm. Yes. Hi, everybody. How are you? It is I, Brother Jesse. I tell you, busy, busy, busy. Tomorrow, I'm going to go and get my number 2 shot. Oh, and I just happen to have this right now. Somebody just bought this for us, so that's nice. It's Martinelli Organic. Now it's organic. Before, when I was in Watsonville, and the Martinellis are world famous for this. They're excellent. This is not advertising for them, but they were extremely generous to the migrant children program we had in Watsonville. Excellent people, wonderful people, very generous, very kind, especially the matriarch. I don't remember her name, but she was very kind. hmm There was a street named after them, Martinelli. I think that's where they lived. One of those beautiful homes there. Mm. So, Martinelli, good friends of the Salesians, um, especially Brother Zanella. Brother Zanella was such a nice guy. He was a wonderful brother, a very close friend. It was like a father to me. I miss him. And I was there with Father Chris Wirtz, too. He was the director. I was the artistic director of the Penny Club, and which didn't mean much, but anyway, it was okay. It was very good. It was my best years there, 7 glorious years there. Um, yeah, and that was the program. That was the saddest day of my life, really. And then poof, it was gone. And that was one of our best works for the poor. And yeah, maybe we could revive it again. We still have the parish there. But anyhow, that's life. What are you going to do? So today we're going to talk about the readings, the first reading. We read them yesterday, and today we're going to talk about them. The first reading from Genesis. It's pretty packed, really, with the great ideas that stem from that story. If we understand it better, and if we see the history behind it, and sometimes you just read the story and okay, that's it. No, there's so much behind these stories. Every time I read them, I get some new aspect of what the story is trying to relate to me and to you and to everybody. There's a story, and then there's the meaning that people take from the story. This is from Genesis in the beginning. And also, we should pray for what's his name? Tiger Woods. Yeah, pray for him. Very sad. Very sad. So let me get back. Yeah, so Tiger Woods was in an accident. I think a pretty rough one. They're working on him at the hospital, the operating room. Hi, Yolanda. How are you? So, yeah, we're just talking about Tiger Wood. Pray for him. Remember that this hour, half an hour, is an hour of prayer. Just like anytime you want to commune with God and really get accustomed. We have to get accustomed to God first. Takes years and years sometimes for some people to get accustomed to Jesus, to feel at home with him. It takes a while. And then once you do, you make contact with him here and there and again and again and again through prayer, and later on through fasting, and later on through giving of yourself and of your funds. Then you begin to finally rest on Jesus' shoulder when you're tired, and you begin to converse with him at any time. You offer your day to him and to Almighty God for his glory and things like that. Then life becomes a little less cumbersome, even in really difficult times, because God is right there with you, but you have to get accustomed to him first. That's a good word, getting accustomed to God. I read that somewhere. Good idea. So, and then pray for our sisters. I was going to take a picture of all the sisters that have passed away, but I didn't have time to catch up on that. But 3 of our sisters passed away, Salesian sisters. Sister Lupe, Sister, I forget her name now. Let me see if I can still see if I can find them. I don't know. Nopey dopey. Let me see. I'm going to see if I can. I don't know if I'll be able to get the pictures of the sisters. But yeah, it's very sad. We lost 4 Salesian sisters. That's a lot of sisters. That's sad. And yeah, we're really sad. 4 sisters is in our lives, in our communities, a lot of sisters, and they all died from the COVID. That's amazing, isn't it? Jeez, it's very sad. Oh well, what are you going to do? Pray. We have to pray for them, and I'm sure they're in heaven already, because they're very, very nice sisters, very nice. And I don't know if I can get them. Boy, Tiger Woods was really in a mess. They had to use the jaws of life. Do you know what that is? That's like a pneumatic instrument that pulls the anything apart, even if it's like stuck and nobody can pull it apart. The jaws of life can pull it apart. So he must have been crunched up in there. So pray for Tiger Woods. No matter what you think of it, pray for him. It's sad. Very sad. So now let me see. I'm going to see if I can get my contacts. I have pictures of the sisters, but I don't know how to get to them. I'm going to see if I can get to them this way. Okay, here we go. No. That's, nope. Nopey dopey. Email. Well, no, I don't. I can't get them here. I will. I'll try to get them toward tomorrow, because I can't get them right now. Nothing is happening. Nada. Okay, I'll get the pictures for tomorrow. I can't get them right now, but we'll pray for the sister. Sister Lupe is one of them. And I don't remember the other names, but 4 sisters are gone from the Salesians of Mary Help, Daughters of Mary Help of Christians, are Salesian sisters, so pray for them. Okay, let's get to what we're going to do today. We're going to go over the readings. Okay. This is of the second Sunday of Lent. Can you imagine we're already at the second Sunday of Lent? That's amazing. Time flies, doesn't it? Okay. This is a reading from the book of Genesis, the first book of the Bible. When the United States became a nation and split from England, what do you think the first writings were about? Correct. The historical writings, who signed the independence, how did the war turn out because of this or that, and how did they free themselves from the empire of England, the English Empire, and all that stuff. Who were the first leaders, who signed the Declaration of Independence, how many colonies were there, et cetera, et cetera. It's all history. Only when the country is now established and everyone's kind of firmly settled, more or less, then you start writing the folklore. You start writing about this guy who's put seeds all over the whole United States, Johnny Appleseed. You talk about this mythical figure who was huge, Paul Bunyan, and his huge ox giants, and things like that. Ichabod Crane, and start writing fiction, so to say. So, believe it or not, Adam and Eve is not fiction in that way, but it is stories of what happened, and we can't explain what happened in the past. We weren't there with cameras and iPhones and all kinds of things to photograph or to film the beginning of life. So we tell stories, and these are stories. Once we get to Abraham, then we get to some type of history, okay? The beginnings of a nation, a real historical figure. And that's Abraham, who was Abram, okay? And then God changed his name to Abraham when he gave him another mission, okay? Or the mission to get out of Ur, which is a city in the Mesopotamian area, which would be like Turkey around that area, and then come to Israel. Whoa, wow, to Israel. Can we do that? Wow, that's amazing. He did it. He went, he just got this feeling and said, this voice talked to me, or God talked to me, or something is pushing me to get out of here. So he took all of his, he was pretty wealthy. He took all of his herds and animals and all kinds of things, and pulled up stakes and went to where God was telling him to go. That's a lot of faith. He was not Jewish. He was an Urian from Ur, and took his wife and then his nephew and all this, the story of Lot. And then he established himself in the Holy Land, more or less. And then God says, you're going to have so many people coming after you from your stock. You're going to have a lot of people coming from you. So I'm going to give you a son. And he said, well, so how am I going to have a kid? And they didn't think it was possible. So he had relations with his servant, his slave servant. That's the way they had it in those days. If your wife wasn't giving you an heir to the throne, well, or through whatever you had, then you had relations with your servant woman, and hopefully you'll get a guy, a little boy. Okay. So he did from the servant, but then God says, you know what? I'm telling you, your wife, even though she's that old, she's going to have a kid. He goes, okay, well, we'll see. So he does, and he loves this guy. He calls him Isaac, names him Isaac. Isaac. Okay, as Isaac. And so he has this kid, he loves him, and he's already an older kid, kind of teenagerish, kind of getting in his teens. And God tells him, go kill him. What? Go sacrifice him to me. In those days, you would put rocks on top of each other, build an altar, and then put wood, and then kill the little animal, and then burn it up, because it was supposed to be for God, so they didn't want to leave anything for anyone else to use. For instance, they could use the wool to make clothing or to make this or that, and then they would use the animal to eat it, of course. But this way, when they burnt the sacrifice, nothing's left. It's all ashes. It's all for God. That's what it meant. So God says, take him up to this mountain and kill him for me. And he goes, okay, I'll go. No, he didn't. He probably was crying and saying, God, are you kidding me? What is wrong with you? You just told me that I'm going to have as many descendants as the sands on the seashore. You just told me that. And now you want me to kill the stars in the heavens. Well, that's a lot of descendants. And how did it come about with, do I have to go back to the slaves kid? And he goes, just go up there and sacrifice them to me. So he goes, okay. So he goes up to the mountain, makes an altar made up. Oh, excuse me. Yes, mi secretaria. Oh, muchas gracias. Ahorita le doy los otros. Aquí están.
Cuando me dé los nombres, entonces me da las
Le
otras.
doy los otros. Muchas gracias. I'll
Encontré
show you.
tres.
Oh, gracias.
No tengo
Perfecto.
más de eso.
Gracias. See, this is a beautiful, my secretary Anna just brought me these beautiful pictures. You know what they're for? They're for these really neat memorial gifts. I'm sending these spiritual bouquets out to some of my family and some of my friends. They're about $35 each. Oh, but you don't have to pay for them. Yes, we do. We have to pay for everything. There's no freebies here. But they're beautiful. See, and it says, and they're inscribed forever. They're called World. They will share mass each day throughout the world for good works. And it's amazing. It's for everybody that wants one for their dead, or also for someone who's alive. And they'll pray for them every day for the rest of the existence of this society of ours. And I think we're going to be here for a long time because it's the second largest order in the world, the first largest missionary order. Okay, the Jesuits are really number one, but they're kind of like, okay, the Pope is a Jesuit. But you know what? He went to a Salesian school, our school, when he was a little boy. So he's filled with Don Bosco. He likes Don Bosco. He likes us. Who doesn't? Well, I know a lot of people who, because of certain things, but what are you going to do? But, yeah, most likely. Don Bosco is the spirit of Don Bosco is very likable. Don Bosco is a very likable man. Wow, it's nice. What is that? What do you mean, Liz? Could you be more specific? You mean these? These are beautiful. They look like leather bound. See, leather bound. See, leather bound and with gold writing. And then inside, I'm going to change this because I like the Pietà better. And inside it tells you you will have a mass from the Salesian Society. See how pretty? You will have a mass from the Salesian Society every day for the rest of the existence of our order. You'll have a mass every day for them. Okay, there's Yolanda. So every day you're going to have a mass. Those are beautiful. You can get them at St. Mary's Church, to any Salesian place, St. Peter and Paul's. Okay, enough of that. Okay, we're going to do the reading for this coming Sunday. A reading from the book of Genesis. A mass for what purpose? Every day a mass. Somebody's asking me a question. Finally, somebody asked a question. A mass for what purpose? For the soul of somebody? Or for somebody who's still alive but needs our prayers? We all need our prayers. I have one of these myself. In fact, I have like a couple of them. Plus, I have one from the Pope, where I'm given a plenary indulgence from my Pope. Would you like to see it? I'll bring it in tomorrow. It's a big, gigantic parchment thing, and my name is on it. Some priest gave it to me, friend of mine. Isn't that nice? So is that what you wanted to know, Liz? Yes. You offer up masses for people's souls. It's like saying, here, God, here. No, you don't sign up. You go to a Salesian house, like if you're in LA, go to St. Mary's Church or to St. Dominic Savio Church in Bellflower and tell them you want what we call purgatorial, not just the one little paper one, The $35 kind. That's how much these things cost. Now you're not paying for the mass. You're paying for the service of that little card that you give out. That folder that you give out. It's a nice. It looks like it's made out of leather, but I think it's synthetic leather. But it's beautiful, really. And the outside is very nice. See, it's got gold, gilded lettering. See, gilded lettering. Can you see the gilded lettering? There we go. Nice, huh? So I'm going to give them to my family and to a friend. If you want one, you can ask me for one. Of course, send me 35 bucks. No, if you don't have the money, just tell me the name and the address, and then I will send it if I have the money. I have money for that. So, in case you can't afford it right now in these terrible times, just send the name and the address. They're beautiful, beautiful gifts. I mean, I always send one out to my family and stuff. And I have two to my family and one to a friend. Okay, so you don't sign up anywhere. You have to go to Salesian Parish, like in East Los Angeles. Well, it's really Boyle Heights, St. Mary's Church, and the other one is Bellflower, St. Dominic Savio on Foster Road and Bellflower Boulevard, next to our high school, St. John Bosco High School. Okay, let's forget about that for a little while. Let's go to the reading. We're reading from the book of Genesis. We're going from chapter 22, verses 1 and 2. Then we skip to 9a, which is half of the sentence, and then to verses 10 to 13 and 15 to 18. First reading, a reading from the book of Genesis. God put Abraham to the test. He called to him, Abraham. I am, he replied. Then God said, take your son Isaac, your only one, although it's not true, he had another one from the slave, but this is just a story to tell you, this is happening, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah. There you shall offer him up as a holocaust on a height that I will point out to you. When they came to the place of which God had told him, Abraham built an altar there and arranged the wood on it. Then he reached out and took the knife to slaughter his son. But the Lord's messenger called to him from heaven, Abraham, Abraham. Here I am, he answered. Do not lay your hand on the boy, said the messenger. Do not do the least thing to him. I know how devoted you are to God, since you did not withhold from me your own beloved son. As Abraham looked about, he spied a ram caught by its horns in the thicket. So he went and took the ram and offered it up as a holocaust in place of his son. So holocaust, you take the thing, slaughter it, and then burn it. Again, the Lord's messenger called to Abraham from heaven and said, I swear by myself, declares the Lord, that because you acted as you did in not withholding from me your beloved son, I will bless you abundantly and make your descendants as countless as the stars of the sky and the sands of the seashore. Your descendants shall take possession of the gates of their enemies, and in your descendants all nations of the earth shall find blessing. All this because you obeyed my command. Thanks be to God. So what does this all mean? Okay, what does this all mean? Well, easy. What's happening is that God is testing Abraham, although he doesn't usually work that way. Like, I'm going to test you. I'm going to give you horrible things to do. No, but he wants to know if we're really faithful to him. And, but does he work that way? Well, today, I don't think he'd do that. Kill your kid and then he scares you. And then, no. Remember, this is a story, okay, of an impulses of people and what they wanted to do in those days. They wanted to prove, number one, that you should trust God. You don't trust religion just blindly because the way I feel, because that's the way it is, because God told me to think that way. No, you have to take it into your mind and then realize that God reveals himself to you And then think about it. God doesn't want you just blindly, I'm going to follow religion just because. No, it's good to have reasons for which you're human. And then there's faith. You have to, once you figure things out, more or less, because God is God, you can't figure him out. There's no way. He's beyond us infinitely. But yet he reveals himself to us. He tells us, this is what I want. This is what I want. This is what I want. These are my orders. These are my commandments. You'll be happier if you follow them. They're not to make you follow things blindly, but they're to make your life easier and funner and less troublesome. That's what he's saying. Okay, so what does he mean by this story? Well, as you know, in those days, maybe you don't know, they would have barbecues with babies, baby cues. They would get these little children, these little babies, and because maybe one day there was a storm and there was a flood and some people died. Ooh, the gods, plural, are mad at us. So what should we do? Oh, I'm sure that they like our little babies because we love them so much. Let us sacrifice them. Boom, into the fire they go, the babies, and then they had human sacrifices and all that, just like later on the Aztecs. So they just got into that because they forgot who God was and they didn't follow him anymore. And you have pagans. And then finally you have Abraham coming in and trying to bring that was the rise of paganism, right? Yeah. And they're trying, and Abraham, well, they were all pagans by that time. Even he was a pagan. He had little gods with him, you know. But then he starts realizing, hey, because in those days, gods didn't move with the people. They didn't. The gods stayed there and you left them and you went to another god someplace else. They didn't move around. Except this God, he moves around with his people. He's a spirit. He's not made out of a trunk of tree or a stone or a boulder. He's God. He's a living God. So that makes him special, different than the other gods. Plus, he was the only God. So So that's the idea. The idea of the story is not just to say it's a test for Abraham to see how faithful he was, but it's also to say, I don't like children being sacrificed. That's not me. I would never, never allow that. That's why I stopped him from doing that. It's just a lesson for all of you. Stop killing children. It was the Phoenician um, tribes that were along South Africa and then Phoenicia above Israel now. Excuse me. And it was also the Canaanites who did that. They had this big fat who had a carved stomach, and they'd put fire in there. Well, they'd put wood and then light a fire and then throw the babies in. And then, well, of course, it stopped raining or the flood stopped coming because they had to stop sometimes. Oh, see, the gods are happy, so let's throw more babies in. It was crazy. So, yeah, so now he knows that God will continue his promise. When he makes a promise and he doesn't break it, as the Jews did. And before that, Adam and Eve did. They broke the promise to God that they wouldn't eat of the fruit. But the devil was very smart in that occasion, Adam and Eve, because he begins with a lie. Did you realize that when you're reading Genesis? The devil says, hey, God said not to eat of any tree. Boom, a lie. God just said, don't eat of that tree. But as soon as he did that, Eve gets caught in a station with the devil. She's finished. The devil is an angel. He's super smart. Don't get in conversation with the devil. Oh, I think I'll just do this for about a minute. It's not that bad. And then you start living more minutes and more minutes and oh, that's sin. Okay. But yeah, right away he says, oh, Eve, God said, and she goes, no, he didn't. He said, just that one we're not supposed to. She's in a conversation with the devil. He got her. Okay. And that still was a temptation. She could have said no, and we'd all be happy. We wouldn't be suffering. We wouldn't, when we work, we wouldn't be sweating. When women had babies, it would be whoopee. It would be a lot of fun, not hurting. We'd be in heaven after a few years here of testing us in this planet, and it would be heaven. But no, they had to mess things up. Sad but true. So, what does this have to do with the gospel? Tomorrow we'll talk about that. No, not tomorrow. I won't be here tomorrow because I'm going for my shot all the way to Santa Rosa, and it's going to be around 1:30. So back, it takes 40 minutes to get back here, and I can't drive like a maniac. It takes longer because it's going to be later by the time I get there and come back. So I will see you on Thursday. Have a nice day. God bless you in the name of the Father and the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Hello, Raul. Goodbye, Raul. I'm just finishing. Okay, have a nice one. Bye-bye, everybody. Okie dokie. Hi, Vicky. Happy birthday. Everybody's happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Vicky. Happy birthday to you and many more. Hasta la vista. Yeah, that was Vicky. Now, Vicky, I cannot say her last name, but did you ever see the movie, The Something for Sister Sarah? Sarah, it was with Shirley MacLaine, and she was a nun, but she was a fake nun in the Old West. I think it was with Clint Eastwood, was it? Maybe, I think it was. Well, they went to Mecca to film this movie in the 1950s, 70s, in the 1970s. And A Mule for Sister Sarah, I think that's what it's called. And there's a little girl that they're walking with a piñata full of dynamite. They're going to blow up the federales, the bad guys, and the government guys. And these are all rancheros and all that stuff. So they're going to put this piñata full of dynamite and blow the living daylights out of the door to the fort, and then they're going to come in and take over the fort. But there's a little girl that's coming with them, and they have her by the hand. And one day, this Vicky, who is right here right now, she was watching this movie like 40 years later, and she goes, "That's me." Isn't that something? By everything for all the work that she did for especially migrant people. Isn't that nice? Isn't that right, Vicky? So happy birthday to you. God bless you, and have a good day. I think your birthday was yesterday, the day before. Hola. Everybody says hola. Okay, have a nice one. Bye-bye. Nice seeing you all. Bye-bye, everybody over here.